Yeah, growing up in a Swiss Mexican entrepreneurial family sounds like having a Swiss Army knife for life skills. What's the most unexpected skill from your family toolkit that you found handy in your role as Beekeeper CEO?
Yeah, great question. I like how you put it. And I would say the resourcefulness. So growing up in Mexico City in an entrepreneurial family definitely taught me that there are many difficult and tough situations.
Right.
And it's very inspiring to see, I had the fortune to see it at home, but also with other people in Mexico, how they simply deal with a difficult situation. They find creative ways on how to go about it and just push through it.
Welcome to the EU Startups Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the show hosted by Marcin Lewandowski.
Hey everyone, this is Marcin Lewandowski and you're listening to the EU Startups Podcast. My guest today is Cris Grossmann, who is the co-founder and CEO of Beekeeper. Cris leads a global team of over 200 people who are passionate about empowering frontline workers with a mobile-first app that connects them to everything they need to do great work. Beekeeper's Frontline success system is used by more than 1,000 companies across 100 countries, reaching millions of workers in industries such as hospitality, retail, manufacturing, and logistics, and probably the list goes on. Cris, welcome to the show. So awesome to have you.
Thank you very much, Marcin. Thanks for the invitation and great to be here.
Awesome. Cris, so let's kick off with a heartfelt one. So I know that your grandparents were frontline workers in Mexico. How did their experiences shape your understanding of the challenges faced by frontline workers? And did it play a role in the in your mission behind Beekeeper?
Yes, absolutely. I would say it did play and continues to play a role. As you can imagine, I spent countless hours and afternoons following them, visiting them in the factory back in the 80s in Mexico, 80s and 90s. And what is actually still surprising to me when I go and visit our customers nowadays in their factories, their production facilities and so on, I must confess, not so much has changed in terms of how work gets done. There's still a lot of bulletin boards, paper checklists, lists involved. So it's still pretty old school, if you want to think it that way. So yes, it certainly did play a big role.
Awesome. Growing up in a Swiss Mexican entrepreneurial family sounds like having a Swiss Army knife for life skills. What's the most unexpected skill from your family toolkit that you found, handy in your role as Beekeeper CEO?
Yeah, great question. I like how you put it. And I would say the resourcefulness. So growing up in Mexico City in an entrepreneurial family definitely taught me that there are many difficult and tough situations. Right. And it's very inspiring to see, I had the fortune to see it at home, but also with other people in Mexico, how they simply deal with a difficult situation. They find creative ways on how to go about it and just push through it. So I think that resourcefulness and resilience are two of the big things that I learned from home and from growing up in Mexico.
Awesome. I know that you've been a chemical engineer. I mean, like you are a chemical engineer, and you've experienced the challenges in production firsthand. So I wonder, how does your background uniquely position you to address the needs of frontline workers? And what was the pivotal moment that made you transition from working with chemical reactions to founding a company aimed at transforming how frontline employees communicate?
Yeah, sure. So I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. It's a very sophisticated type of industry. I was optimizing processes to run optimally from an economic point of view, from a performance point of view. And what always amazed me is that no matter how good the technology was, it ultimately ended up working or not working, depending on how the employees were trained, engaged, and there completely with their full attention or not, right? So the human factor played such a big role that was something that really captured my attention, I would say, at that point. And in terms of pivotal moments for me, one of the most important ones was when I finished my PhD and I wanted to bring that technology that I had developed to market. I started realizing how slow and difficult the pharma industry is. You need approvals for everything that you do. You have very long cycle times for FDA approvals of changes in processes, etc. So that very slow domain kind of like wasn't very compatible with me. I needed something a little bit more dynamic that would have an impact much faster. And that's when I wanted to go more towards the software world and address that side of the employees that also had a very, very big role in everything that you do in this manufacturing settings.
Awesome. This kind of answers my next question, to be honest, because I know that before Beekeeper, you worked on some high-profile international projects at Accenture. And I was about to ask, how did those experiences prepare you for the challenges and opportunities of running a startup? Already know like what was maybe like what motivated you to change from the corporate world or to the entrepreneurial journey. So maybe you can still tell us a bit about how did it kind of prepare you, or like maybe not prepare you at all, and it was like a super big surprise for you.
No, it was actually very, very helpful for me, to be honest. I mean, after spending 4 years doing my master's and then another 3.5 doing my PhD, and that was almost 8 years at university, I think I finished being a little bit more of a geek at the end with very little business sense and knowing how the world works outside, besides what I had been doing there. And consulting, I think it's a very good school to have like a super deep dive and fast learning curves on how the world works. So working in these international consulting projects was a great learning for me to learn how to manage C-level stakeholders, how to make sure that a project keeps on track and gets delivered on time, how to dive quickly into new problems that you have never heard about and find a solution. So I think all of those are really good skills when building a startup, because it's all about trying to create order in a very chaotic and uncertain world where you don't know everything, you don't have answers to everything, but you need to move fast and keep on doing progress. So I think that was definitely a very, very good experience that I look back upon. I am still very thankful and grateful for that experience, and the people I got to meet there continue to be great assets in my network, and we're still in contact in many of those cases.
Awesome. Sounds good, actually. They say that the secret sauce to success is failure. So what were the biggest challenges you faced, while building a success system that empowers frontline workers? And how did you get through them? And, what key learnings would you share with aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yes, for sure. So we had a number of pivots during our process. So we started around 12 years ago with my co-founders. And initially, the very first product we launched had nothing to do with the Frontline success system and frontline workers, but it was actually an anonymous flirting platform for students. So imagine the many pivots that we had to do to come from like a B2C dating space all the way down to empowering frontline workers. So there were many changes that we had to do there. I think the biggest learning is how hard it is as an entrepreneur to let go of ideas that are not working, and find the balance between keep on hustling and pushing hard to make it work versus realizing, you know what, this is not gonna scale and work as it should. So we had to do that 2-3 times with products that we had built, had some sort of traction, but they were not really at the level of what our ambitions were actually aspiring to get. So we had to let it go a couple of times. And every time it was, I would say, even harder, because every time you get a little bit better, things work a little bit better, but maybe it's still not how you think they should. So letting go something that is already working a little bit better is really hard. So I think that's certainly from the entrepreneurial journey, one of the biggest lessons on how to let go and jump onto the next one based on the learnings versus just keep on diving deeper.
Yeah, that's a good one. So actually, don't fall in love with the ideas, but rather with the problem that you're trying to solve. And then it's going to be also easier for you to kind of let go and, keep improving the solution and finding the right way. Yeah. So Cris, the launch of Beekeeper's AI-powered Frontline intelligence platform, that's a long one. Sounds like a game changer. Understanding employee sentiment and productivity. So how do you envision this technology influencing not just communication, but also the overall management of the frontline teams?
Yes, absolutely. As you said, Martin, it's a game changer. Like, we're seeing huge demand from our customers. And I think it comes from the fact that nowadays, many of these industries are completely blind when it comes to data, when it comes to what the frontline is experiencing day in and day out. We call it the frontline disconnect. And it happens within organizations that they're truly disconnected from their employees in many different regards, from a technology perspective, from a data perspective, but even from a mindset and cultural perspective. There are a lot of gaps and disconnects. So this is what we aim to bring together with our AI-powered intelligence platform, to surface more of that data in a very simple manner for those organizations to know, hey, what are the most important topics that I should be addressing today? Who are my most critical employees that might need some more support? What's the best way to support them given the context of what they're doing? So trying to bring all of these buzzwords of AI and know-how, I think it's something that needs a very tailored adaptation to the frontline, because there you have this reality where offline and online kind of like come together, and it's important to kind of like mix and match that, right? So yes, amazing. Definitely a game changer.
Awesome. And actually, since you already mentioned that a bit, so in a world that's increasingly driven by technology, how does Beekeeper balance the integration of AI and digital solutions with maintaining a human-centric approach to frontline employee communication and support?
Yeah, totally. So as you said it before, for us, we have fallen in love with the problem and not so much the solution. So technology and AI and so on are just means to an end. And the end for us is to make the life of the frontline workers easier and of their teams. And that's what we're passionate about. So we've even captured that as one of our company values. We call it Be Frontline First. And it's really about thinking that frontline worker, the frontline teams, the people out there, to make their lives easier. And that's basically our North Star and how we guide ourselves. We spend a lot of time in front of our customers. We have user research teams, as you say, to not lose that human topic, because it's about understanding them and how to make their life easier. We have a lot of feedback loops also with our customers. We gather a lot of feedback from them. And for example, me personally, I also spend a lot of time out there visiting our customers, going to their factories, to their stores, to their hotels, just to stay in touch. As you say, I don't think there's like a magic bullet that you have to do other than be really conscious about what you want to achieve. And for us, it's making the life easier of the frontline workers.
That sounds awesome. Maybe moving again a bit to more personal stuff, but also connected to entrepreneurship. Swapping tacos for chocolate and moving from Mexico City to beautiful Zurich is quite a global leap, right? How does the entrepreneurial spirit in Zurich compare to that of Mexico City? And maybe follow-up question to that, what cultural elements from both places do you bring into your work style?
I love the swapping tacos for chocolate. Great sentence. I think, both ecosystems, the Swiss one, where I have been part of, has been developing super fast over the last 10 years. And when we started, it was almost seen as black magic if you wanted to start your company. Nowadays, it's kind of like a viable career path, I believe. And I think that's great to see. I have been following more on the sidelines, the Mexican development, but it's been also amazing to see how it has flourished. I think Mexico has benefited from being so close to the US, to Silicon Valley. So there's a lot of an influence from American VCs coming to Mexico and investing and supporting the Mexican entrepreneurs. There are some great talents there that have already been ramping up the market for large American companies wanting to enter the Latin American market, where Mexico is always a very good entry point. So I think that made the Mexican ecosystem flourish very, very much. And when it comes to entrepreneurial spirit, I think you can see again there the differences of being resourceful, just going for it in Mexico in a much more creative manner, so to speak. I think here in Switzerland, we also tend to be a little bit more calculated, more precise. Everything tries to be perfect before you launch it. So I think for me personally, having seen those two sides, I think I can be a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to those things. And that's a good combination of being pragmatic and creative while not losing the clockwork precision of the Swiss mindset. So I think that combination has been for me personally very fruitful and helpful to bring to work.
That's amazing. Like generally when I think about it, like entrepreneurship in Mexico, like generally entrepreneurship comes with a lot of, like people being risk averse and like taking a lot of risk. But I can, when actually you're talking about it and like having this, Swiss precision versus like Mexican kind of chaos and creativity and combining this all and kind of being able to match it and take like best out of both cultures, like that must be awesome. And probably also great for the business. Looking into the beekeeper's future, how do you see technology continuing to enhance the workplace experiences of frontline employees? And can you give us a sneak peek into the Hive's plans?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the beautiful thing about this is it's a massive market. There are 2.7 billion frontline workers out there that have been long forgotten when it comes to digitalization and technology and so on. So I believe we're still in the very early days of this market. I believe there is a software category emerging to serve them specifically. I think using solutions from other categories like intranets or other workforce management tools, HR tools, etc., to kind of like repurpose them for the frontline will be hard just because of how unique that market is. So we're really in these early days. We call this emerging category frontline success because we believe it's all about the frontline and making their lives easier and more successful so that their businesses can thrive and so that they can also have better lives. So we're really passionate about this. What we see in the future, I think right now there are a lot of point solutions here and there that try to address a certain piece of what they actually need. But we believe there's going to be a consolidation in bringing all of that together so that we really give a great experience to the frontline workers, right? So I think that's one big trend, is consolidation and bringing more things together for the frontline. I think the other big thing that we see for the future is it's going to be a team sport, because frontline has so many different angles that influence them, from HR, operations, business leaders. It's kind of like the center point of many different functions. So it will be a team sport to digitalize them, to drive this digital transformation in the frontline. You'll need HR, you'll need the business leaders, you'll need IT to all play together and do it there, as opposed to how a lot of the other transformations happen, that you say, hey, we're going to have an HR digital transformation and it's only for HR, and they do it and they have new systems, new everything, right? But this is really an intertwined problem to solve. So we're excited about that team sports coming together, right? And I think it's the last thing is, it's uncommon to see how much passion a software solution like Beekeeper can spark with their end users and their practitioners. So we're seeing a lot of communities being built organically to exchange best practices, what has worked for them, how to go about this big transformation and change project. And that's something we're excited about, and that we will be supporting much more proactively with our efforts to build that stronger frontline success community.
Amazing. So you're clearly passionate about what you're building and about your company. Cris, what is Cris Grossmann about outside of work? What are you passionate about?
So I'm very passionate about sports. I love doing sports. I've been doing triathlon for the last 10 years. So that definitely keeps me busy, but also sane. I think it's a very good counterbalance to entrepreneurship. And lately, the other big passion way above sports is my little daughter, Lynn. She was born a year ago, so she's the other one that has been keeping me busy. And as they say, she also keeps me awake at night. So
yeah, right.
But for good reasons.
Congrats on the daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Before we started recording, we were talking. I already said that probably for you, blinking is still like little naps, having a 1-year-old baby, and like kind of managing it all, like having a child and running a business and building the future with it, and then like also kind of keeping your sanity in check with like some sports like that. There's a lot of going on there, and so that's amazing, Cris. Thanks so much for this interview. We are actually going just to an end of it. You're so easy to talk to. I could like sit here and talk with you for the next couple of hours. Thanks so much. It's been lovely having you on the show, and good luck with everything. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for the great conversation, Marcin. It was also a pleasure talking to you. I think your preparation and thoughtful questions made the conversation even easier. So can only reciprocate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Glad you enjoyed it. Ciao.
Okay. Bye-bye.